I'm definitely feeling the whimsy today. So I'm almost at the end of my 5x8 small dilutions journal, and I'm going to cover this double page spread with this map tissue paper that I picked up from a store called Paperchase. I'm just going to stick it down using the map medium from Podge. So as always with the background paper, I'm not particularly bothered about getting any wrinkles in it. In fact, it just adds to a little bit of the texture. So if there are any wrinkles in this background paper, I'm not particularly bothered and they can stay there. So once the tissue paper is completely stuck down, I'm going to just bring out my heat gun and just give it a little bit of a gentle blast to make sure it's all nice and dry before I start layering on my acrylic paint colours. My first colour today is from the Artiste range of acrylic paints from Docraft, and this is the Lagoon, which is a beautiful turquoisey blue. I'm just going to drop some splodges of the colour onto the page and then just distribute it with a baby wipe. I don't want it too thick, I do want you to be able to see some of the pattern of the paper through it, so I'm just adding it on lightly. So I will want to add some more colours. I'm going to bring out a yellow Buttercup, here we go. And I'm going to drop those colours directly over the top while it's still wet and just blend it in using the same baby wipe. Now you'll see me dot and dab and just try and blend the colours in as much as possible. I do want to see some of the pattern behind it, as I've said before, but in some areas I'm not bothered if it does disappear altogether. So this is the pumpkin, so this is the third of my colours today, so I'm using the Lagoon, the yellow and the pumpkin, which kind of mimics the topographical map which is behind it, but not really meant to replace it. It's just kind of sympathetic colours to what was in the background. So I've just added a touch more of that Lagoon because I kind of disappeared into the background completely, but I did want to have a hint of it still showing through. So I'm happy with the background now, so time to bring out the heat gun, get it all dry before we bring out our stencils for our next layer. So today I'm going to be using the Microbial Stencil from TCW and this titanium white acrylic paint from Reeves with a craft sponge. I'm just going to apply the paint through the stencil randomly around the page. The next stencil I want to use is this compass stencil from my friend Bev at becrafty.co.uk. So I'm going to use the titanium white again. I'm just going to push the paint through the stencil, still using the craft sponge, because I want this to be a kind of focal point on the page. I do want it kind of prominent, but I don't want it to take over because I still have to add some collage elements onto the right hand side of my page. And just to give the pages a little bit of balance, I'm just also adding a hint of that compass on the right hand side of the page as well. Because my main focal collage piece has some deep blues in it, I wanted just to introduce a little bit of deep blue into the background as well. So again, using the craft sponge, the same craft sponge and the same Microbial Stencil, I'm just using this Phthalo blue acrylic paint from Reeves. I'm just going to introduce a little bit of that darker blue into the background also. Because I'm only introducing a hint of that colour, I don't want to go too mad with it, so I'm happy with the amount of paint that's on the page where it is. So I'm just going to give that a heat blast, and then it's time to bring out my collage elements. So I'm going to be sticking these down using the matte medium from Podge, and this is a magazine cutout that I've had in my stash for quite some time. I'm just going to apply the Mod Podge to the page and then just lightly to the back of my image, and then I'm just going to stick it down and then just go over the top again with a little bit of a light seal. And again, I'm not particularly bothered if I've got a few wrinkles in this because it just adds to the overall texture and effect of the page. So I'm now going to just apply a coat to the top of the page, and then I'm going to stick down my next image. As you can probably tell from the back, I'm now going to stick on an octopus for the head. Definitely in a whimsical mood today. And once I'm happy that the octopus and my main body has got a decent coating, I'm just going to bring out my heat gun, give it a nice little bit of a dry, and then it's time to snip off all that excess tissue paper from around the outside of my pages. Once all the excess tissue is taken off from the outside, it's time to tackle my main coat, which I've already printed off on my computer just onto a piece of white cardstock using a typewriter font, and I've used a blue colour for the text because I wanted the blue to feed through with the background, so it all nicely blends together. Because I'm using the multi-purpose glue, if the position of my word blocks isn't quite right, I have got that little bit of wiggle room to be able to manoeuvre it so that I'm happy with the position before it grabs and dries. So once I'm happy my word blocks are stuck down, I can bring out my white Signo pen and I can start adding some white doodling. So there's no hard and fast rule when you're adding doodling to an art journal page. You just add the bits and pieces where you kind of feel that you want to put it. Like I said, there's no rules. You can just highlight and draw on patterns. You can add Zentangles to it. You can pretty much do what you want just to try and add a little bit more of interest into any kind of collage elements that you have on your page. So I'm happy with all my doodling on the page. I've gone around the outside of my octopus. I've outlined my main character, if you like. So all that remains to be done now is for me to sign and date my page, and I'm calling this page complete. That's it. I'm not doing any more to it. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this kind of nautical, whimsical page come together today. Just the kind of mood that I was in this morning when I saw the octopus in my stash and thought, I think I'm going to use you today. So if you have enjoyed it, please remember to give it a thumbs up, share the video with all your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video to make sure that you're kept informed of any future uploads on pages like this. That's all from me for now. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all again real soon. Bye for now.